Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray, brought to you proudly by Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency, Barton Power Sports, Sportsman's Warehouse, and Best Care Home Services.
Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790 here in Memphis, Tennessee, and all you good folks out in Brownsville and Jackson, Tennessee. Thank you for being part of the Outdoors with Larry Ray team, and this being on the third Saturday of the month. That means Guy Trebo is here.
Hey, Larry.
Good morning, Guy. Of course, Frank Barton is normally here, but Frank is out in Oregon with the National Retriever Test going on in Roseburg, Oregon, and we'll talk to Frank a little later in the show. We talked recently about some changes in bass fishing, professional bass fishing, and we had Dave Preck on our show talking about what's going to happen in 2019 on the Elite Series for BASS, and we want to talk this morning about a league, a fishing circuit that's really caught the attention of a lot of folks because it spotlights individuals, gives you a lot of information and things along that line, and that's Major League Fishing. And we're happy to have on with us this morning not only Ron Wong to interpret what we're saying. You're there, aren't you, Ron?
Yes, I am.
But we have Gary Klein on with us this morning, and he is one of the co-founders of Major League Fishing, along with Boyd Duckett. And so, good morning, Gary.
Well, thank you very much for having me on the program. Out here Saturday morning in Texas, this is deer hunting time.
Oh, okay.
Normally, I'm sitting in a stand, but we've had so much water out here.
Yes.
Everything is pretty wet.
Well, we appreciate you sitting in with us, and I'm going to start this right off, Gary. And I told him before, I never know what I'm going to say. That's my reputation on 17 years on this show. But I got to go back. May 17th, the year 2000. Does that ring a bell to you from Memphis?
I'm sure you're going to inform me of that. But
you won $100,000, Gary, on the Mississippi River out of Memphis.
Yes.
The last time we've ever had a professional bass tournament here, you won it. I was there. A young man named Mark Rose finished third. He won $20,000. You got $100,000. So I'm just jarring your memory that you do have a connection to Memphis. Okay?
Well, yes, I do, and you jogged my memory enough to remember that FLW had competed out of Memphis twice, back-to-back years, and I was fortunate enough to win both of those.
You sure were, and
That's right.
And I know, I think Roland Martin. I think he drove all the way to the Gulf of Mississippi, to find fish.
Well,
I remember you stayed close. All right, so I'm just.
I headed south.
Yeah.
And I actually won both of those events in the Ox Bowl that's called Tunica.
That's it, Gary. Okay.
Tunica's cutoff.
Yeah.
That's right.
I just wanted to let you know that I was there covering it for the Memphis newspaper, and I remember your wonderful reaction to fishing on the Mississippi River. So I want to jog your memory a little bit. That's been 18 years ago, and my memory doesn't go back that far myself. But to let you know that. Let's talk about Major League Fishing now, Gary. I know you and Boyd came up with this idea, co-founded it, and we're looking at some changes. You guys have announced 80 anglers. We know their names. We know.
Yes, we have our field. We have our field of 80.
You have your field of 80. So walk us through this. What's going to happen in 2019 on Major League Fishing?
Well, 2019, what all the talk is about is that we have announced, in addition to our already popular Major League Fishing Cup events that we air currently, we've actually announced an expansion, and we've created the Major League Fishing Bass Pro Tour.
Yes.
And that will consist of 8 events with our Red Crest Tour Championship.
We'll talk about the 80. How did we come up with 80, and how do you decide who got in?
Well, we will be putting that list out public here shortly.
I've got it. I'm looking at it here.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, we've already got it out. I think that release was put out last week.
Yeah.
But let me just real quickly kind of bring everybody up to speed about the conception of Major League Fishing. And This is actually Boyd Duckett and I started talking like most anglers do in a parking lot.
Yeah.
9 years ago at a bass fishing tournament, and in the conversation we were both kind of reminiscing and trying to think about the future and what about this and what about that, and both of us shared the same vision, and that vision has never changed from 9 years ago to where we are today. And the announcement of the Major League Fishing Tour is just another step in the right direction. And, we have a lot more coming here in the future. There's going to be a lot out about Major League Fishing. But our vision from the very beginning was to be able to create a competitive, basically get the sport of professional angling recognized as a true sport and elevate it higher than it's ever been elevated before. And, we have experienced the success with our, game-changing format.
Yes.
Very conservation. But all I did when I created the format was address a lot of the issues that we have with conventional bass fishing as I know it, because, I've never had another occupation but competitive angling.
Right.
And tried to create a product that a viewer that is a non-angler could get involved, basically get engaged with, and to learn a little bit more about our sport. And that's how that's kind of the basis of how I created the Major League Fishing format. It's the purest form of competitive angling that I know how to make, where anglers truly know where they have no knowledge of where they're competing. Even when they're at the venues, they don't know which lake they're going to go compete on.
Yeah.
It's very, very exciting. But for the viewer has the opportunity to tune in and watch an angler go through all of what we go through every weekend when we go fishing. Where do we go? How do we start? How do we find the fish?
Mm-hmm.
So our viewers actually get to watch an angler like Kevin or Edwin or Ski or myself and Boyd go through a process of elimination and trying to establish an area that has a concentration of fish or establish a pattern that we can carry throughout the day. And one of the things that I incorporated to really amp it up is our real-time leaderboard.
Yeah.
Because it was very obvious to me in the early part of this phase that what other sport that we call a sport that you're competing against an opponent and you have no idea where you stand.
That's right, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, you're like, and I've experienced so many times in my career that you can be in an area that's got a lot of fish, you're catching just enough to get behind because you have no knowledge that you need to move and get off the 3-pounders and go find 4-pounders.
Yeah.
So the real-time leaderboard keeps every angler up to date on every fish that's being caught, and throughout the competition, you know exactly where you stand. So, you have to make adjustments based on that information if you want to advance. And it's very, very it's the most exciting competition I've ever been involved in.
Hey, Gary, Gary, I just wanted to make a comment. I've watched some of this, and I enjoy listening to these guys kind of give each other's the business while they're out there fishing.
Yeah,
like when hey, so and so finally caught a fish.
Yeah,
just they kind of gig each other while they're working.
Well, we do. We take jabs at each other, but one of the things that I've learned a lot from competing with these anglers, is that they are so versatile.
Yeah.
And it's so hard. I always get a big kick out of, somebody like Todd Faircloth is really racking up the score, and everybody is saying, well, I know Todd, he's fishing a jig in the grass. But yet Todd is throwing a spinning rod, catching spots out from underneath the boat dock.
Yeah.
It's real hard to predict what these guys are actually catching their fish on or the technique they're using because they're so versatile.
Well, we're talking to Gary Klein. He is Major League Fishing co-founder and longtime pro angler. And we might throw in, Gary, that 9 days ago you had a birthday. Happy birthday late, okay? I know these things,
well,
okay?
Thank you.
Yes, you're already well past the magic number, and you're still doing it. So that's pretty impressive because a lot of folks don't realize what a rugged life you guys live. But let me ask you again, and I got to ask you, because we had Dave Pratt on last week talking about BASS and their changes on the Elite Series for next year. This is not we're not calling this a battle of circuits, are we? I mean,
no.
Your guys are.
No.
Some people are throwing that out. We're trying to do better than them. They're trying to do better than us. So talk about the relationship here. So make the sport, is the way I understand it, more available to more people. Is that right?
Yeah. My vision is much grander than where we are today.
Okay.
It's much grander than what we just announced. Like I said
there's more coming
early on. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff coming. And my vision has always been to create a sport out of bass fishing.
Yeah.
And it's just like football. You play in high school on a 100-yard field, and in NFL you play on a 100-yard field. And my vision is that Major League Fishing is the game. And
okay.
Major League Fishing is played all across this country. And Major League Fishing becomes the new norm. And we have never wavered off of our direction, off of our plans. Everything has been slow and methodical. We have aligned ourselves with some of the best business partners in the industry, with Stan Kroenke at KSE Sports, which is the Outdoor Sportsman Group.
That's right. Yeah.
Outdoor Channel.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then with Johnny Moore's.
Yes, that's a good name to align with. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You've got heavy winners.
Here's the thing about Johnny. Johnny is one of our biggest fans of Major League Fishing, but he also is a big fan of the format, conservation, and everything about Major League Fishing. But Johnny is also about bringing new people into the sport, getting more people in the outdoors, and of course more people into the stores. Involved in this sport.
Yeah.
And Major League Fishing has a track record. And just think about this, where we are today and what we have just announced with the Major League Fishing Bass Pro Tour.
Yeah.
We started this in a parking lot, two guys talking 9 years ago.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And you ended up at the Big Cedar Lodge is a good place to make all these announcements for those of us that have been there. And Ron, you followed professional bass fishing for a long time. What's your thoughts on this, Ron Wall?
Well, to Gary's point, to make it available and accessible to more people, all of our objectives that are for all of us that are in the fishing industry, we have to grow the sport. We have to make it more accessible. And to me, I think that this is just another step to grow the sport and to grow the industry, to get more people involved. We must continue to do that in order for us to continue to do what we like. But also, like Gary said, too, bass fishing is a sport. And a lot of people don't recognize that as a sport. And a lot of people don't realize how competitive it really is.
Yeah.
And now they'll have an opportunity. And as you all know, the number one watched television show, and Guy talked a little bit about it a while ago, the number one watched television show right now, and it has been for the last 2 years, is Major League Fishing.
Yeah.
And now they're going to expand to the Bass Pro Tour, which is going to afford a lot of opportunity for a lot of people to get involved. And from a spectator standpoint, as I understand it, and I haven't been told any details other than to watch out for what's coming down the road, there are going to be a lot of events surrounding each one of the stops at the Bass Pro Tour. And so I'm really excited about that. And, they've done I think that it's been well thought out, and let's take a step at a time. And, it's incumbent for all of us to kind of, not lose sight of what we're all trying to do, and that's to grow the industry and grow the sport. And this is another step in the right direction.
Well, Gary, I know you've heard those words, and running out of time a little bit. I do want to ask you, was it easy to fill those 80 spots?
This right here was something that I had no idea, because, this is a vision that we have.
Yeah.
We personally met with all of our anglers, and it was amazing. We got everybody that we reached out to.
Wow.
It's just phenomenal. One of the key things is that this is truly an angler-driven Major League Fishing company.
Yeah.
and it is angler-driven, angler-designed, and we're building this stuff for the future. We're building a sport for the future of competitive angling, and all of the anglers in our group. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of great anglers that are on the outside of this group.
Yeah.
I mean, no matter where you drew the line,
yeah.
there was going to be anglers on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
But what I can say for those anglers that are on the outside looking in is there's a lot more to come.
Okay.
And as we move forward, we're going to have a whole feeder system, and the money's really good.
Yeah.
Payouts are phenomenal.
Yeah.
But most important is we can't lose sight of building a sport out of competitive angling.
Well, Gary, I appreciate you taking time on this Saturday morning. You answered all the questions just like I knew you would and everything, and pretty amazing when you look back. And I know we're way out of time and stretching it out a little bit, but I think this is an important segment that no way in your mind in your long career with bass fishing that this would happen. And I can see now that all things happen in parking lots, it seems like, okay? I mean...
that's true. That's true.
That is true. Thank you, Gary, for being with us. Stay in touch with us. I know Boyd's been on the show many times, and we'd love to get you back on later on and kind of keep us rolling on this thing. Okay, buddy?
Well, thank you. No, I appreciate the invite. Please keep in touch because we got a lot of stuff coming out. We're moving forward at a pretty rapid pace, so I'll be happy to come back on the program anytime.
Thanks. Thanks, Ron Wong, too. Okay, buddy?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's take a break. Close out today's show on Outdoors with Larry Ray.